everyone, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Monica and I'm the Outreach and Recruitment Specialist here at UCSC Silicon Valley Extension. Extension is the professional development division of UC Santa Cruz, and we're located in Santa Clara, California. We offer courses and certificate programs for working professionals to update their skills. Our courses are designed by experienced instructors who are currently working in their field, and one of them is joining us today to talk to you about why developers choose Java and how it is one of the oldest and most popular languages used to produce software today. Today we have Bineet Sharma, who is a seasoned technologist with more than 30 years experience in technical architecture, upper level management, professional teaching, and entrepreneurship. He has held a variety of leadership roles in all aspects of the software development lifecycle, and is also the CEO of Cash on Ad, a mobile advertising app platform, and co-founder of OnTech, a technical analysis tool for stock market data positions. He has served as the program chair of UCSC Silicon Valley Extension's Computer Programming Certificate since 2020. Before I hand it over to him to begin, we ask that if you have any questions during the presentation, you can submit them in the Q&A box or the chat at the bottom of the screen, and we'll go over as many as we can as possible after the presentation. This session's gonna run until about 1:30. If we don't get to your question, we can follow up with you after the webinar, and I'll be including links and email addresses and everything in the chat as we go. So feel free to just, as anything comes up, just go ahead and put your thoughts in the chat, and we'll keep it going. Thank you so much for joining us. And Bineet, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Monica. Really appreciate that. Nice introduction. And I also, very briefly want to say that I'm also a department chair, which is like head of the Department of Computer Science department in the University of Silicon Valley. There is a small 4-year college right in the heart of the Silicon Valley, where I am department chair in computer science department. All right, so right now today, this is our agenda going to be. First, I'll introduce what topic we're talking about, and we'll talk about why developers. You all know developer means somebody who uses computer language to develop a solution for a real world problem. So why developers choose Java? We'll talk about that. And also important to know there are so many choices of languages to use to developing any solution for problems. So why Java is still relevant? And the reason is why we say still is because it has 26th year anniversary. Okay, and in technology term, you know that it might be stale, right? So we'll talk about that relevancy. Then, most important for all of us right now, and you guys have shown that interest that you guys are transitioning to the different job market, or maybe you are looking for the progress in your current company, or you are the first in trying to get into a job market. So you need to see where the Java job outlook is all about. And then I'll talk about, right, okay, fine, you are ready to start it. Then that means, where do I even start? What are the things I need to do to get going with this? And so I'll show you some of the resources and course planning and things like that. Then we'll have a question and answer, okay? So let's go with the introduction. And as I said, 1996 was the, first time. Actually, it started in 1995, but first light of the day Java saw was in 1996. Now we call it, it's a 26th anniversary, okay, of Java. So it's still used very widely, even wider than last year. So every year the growth is exponential how it is using it. So you'll see some of the example when I say about that, okay? So right now, because it evolved, where it was most dominant, where it was used before is being shifted. So now more shift is towards, is the power is in the server side back end development. If it does not make sense, then what should you know is, if you are using computer, it's called front end. You are interacting in the front of the computer. So it is called front end. And back end is really, think about this way, when you go to a restaurant and you ask for a food, the person who's coming to interact with you to get your menu choices is a front end, and where you pay money is a front end of the restaurant. The back end is the cook who is making that food for you. We don't go to the to order something to the cook to ask any food, right? They let them serve it. But who's interacting with us in the kitchen is the people who come to get our menu, right? Getting our order. So the back end is, think about the kitchen where most of the things happen. Getting all of your information we are asking computer to do for us is done in the back end. So the back end is the big work. And in there, because so much of information we ask, there is a lot of computational power needed, meaning a lot of computers have to work together and all that. That's what we call it, a big data. So those things are done in Java. So you got to think that, okay, it's a really powerful language which allows you to work with the big data, distributed environment, distributed computing. What does that mean is, part of your program might be working in one computer, part of the other program might be working in another computer. So that kind of things happens in big data work. And similarly, you can also write use data, Java, for desktop, mobile, other mobile application, game engineering, numeric computing, and all those. So it is mostly used for these kind of purposes. And also important, very important thing to know as an introduction, as a summary, I'll elaborate those a little bit more later on, is it crosses different industry boundary. What is the industry boundary means? It is used in multiple different medical industry, or you can think of education, or you can think of many other industry. So it has, if it goes many different industry, that means you got to think, oh, so that means there is a longevity in my job, because if it is in a medical is so big industry in the United States. So that means it's going to last longer and your job is more secured kind of idea, right? That's what it means. Okay. So now let's look at in the numbers. That is most important for you. And I've given you all the resources, where you can find all this information I'm giving you. Google is your friend. You can go and look yourself, but I put it together to show you right now, today in 2021, where the Java stands compared with other languages. And you see it is in a third one. You'll be surprised it was in 22, at the second one. You might think, oh, okay, is it going down? Not really. What happens is these numbers go up and down, but you'll see the dominance. I'll show you another slide where you'll see it where the Java is. Think about, if you pay attention to the ratings place, the percentage wise, between the third and fourth, there's a huge gap between the language, but there's a very small gap between 3 and 2, and they knock off each other, a little bit here and there, every year. So it really does matter as long as they are in top 20. Think about how famous you guys know the Python is, or how much PHP it is. Right now, I don't know whether you know or not, there is a language, Go. It is very famous. It is coming from the Google, but it is still in the 20th. Okay. So, and it goes down from 12 to 20. So does that mean that people who are using Go is not going to use it? Not really. Go has its own strength, so they are using it. So what I'm trying to say is, the most important for you to think where it stands in totality. So Java is right on the top 3. Okay. And it is also important for you to look at the perspective, long term, where it came from and where it is. And I've given you from 1986, 1991, 96, 2001, 6, 11, 16, and 21. If you look at it here, it started journey at 25. Within 5 years, it jumped to 3. Think about that. It stayed at number 1 all along, right? So, right now you can call it anomaly or something like that, just, at that number 2. So which is a good perspective to have. Think about other languages still, hovering in a way below, 10 or things like that. Okay. So this is good perspective to have. It has a longer life cycle. Okay. And it is sustained. Now, another thing you have to, oh, by the way, there is a poll. So please answer that poll, and I would appreciate that. Okay. So why developers use Java is important for us to also know, right? Why? Okay. So let me see. Sorry about that. The reason why developers, the people who write code, use Java is important to know. You know, Java is really something called a language which is called object oriented. What does that really object oriented mean for somebody who has no idea about Java language? So object oriented really means making object out of everything, and think easier way thinking about the, like real world object. How do I say what is the object? Look at my water bottle is a object. So what happens is, in here, the data and the behavior is input in here. What is the data part of it for this object is color, is size, is capacity, right? You can think of that. And the water, I fill it in here to drink. What is behavior? Behavior is to keep it cool and then dispense it when I need it. Now I'm thirsty, I want to drink it. So that's the object. What is good about this object is it enables a reusable code, meaning once I write this and Costco sells it, anybody can go and get this guy. Now, it could be in your desk. Same thing could be in your desk. You already know how to use it. Everybody knows how to use it, that it has to close it, it has to open it. All the behavior is known to the whole world, right? And good thing is you can use it for putting a cold drinks in here, or water in here, or lemonade in here, and everybody using it will test it differently. Okay, so so uh, so that's what the fun about object oriented programming is all about. Okay, so it allows the developers to create something and reuse themselves and let others use it. And it becomes very, very easy for programming, for developing big, like a enormous type of ERP, enterprise level program and software solution, and it is manageable. That's the most important thing. And another thing we say it is Java is really relatively easy to learn. Okay, I said relatively. Of course, you have to focus, you have to write it. And when I learn it, I find, oh my God, it's easy. When I started learning object-oriented programming, I started with the C++. It's very easy to write a very spaghetti code in C++ and not make it object-oriented. Of course, it is also an object-oriented language, but you could. But in Java, it's very difficult to deviate and not write a object-oriented program, because from ground up, it is object-oriented. And it is relatively easy. So it is also called C++ minus minus, we call it. There is one minus missing there in my slide. C++ minus minus, really that's not a real code, but idea behind it is it has all the power of C++, but without the problems of the C++. For example, it's kind of very difficult to learn C++ language as a first language to learn, because there is a pointers that you could lose the memory, and resource leaking and all that can happen. Debugging is kind of difficult. Okay, that's one. Another one is the platform independent. What that platform independent means is it's really easy to write code thinking of no platform, and then when you run it, you can run it any platform meaning platform is the operating system. You can run in Unix, you can run in Mac OS, you can run in Windows, and what have you. Okay. So, and then there are so many people who are already in Java that if you come into today, you'll find a lot of supporting communities for you to help you out. Not only for the learning, for any problem you have, you can put your problem up there. There will be communities which can help you out also. Another one is the dynamic. The language is changing very fast. Every 6 months, there is an update coming nowadays. No other language is like this fast changing. So it's dynamic. It just sees it. Okay, if there is a need, it will provide it that changes, and it is managed by like open source community. So that means, what is the open source community really means? The community of people who are dedicated to this, and they provide their uh, their time and resources to develop this free of cost as a volunteer. So it is free, relatively cheap language to learn. Okay. And still the point is, okay, it is all good. Everything is good. Why it is still relevant is, it's a summary, and then it's a little bit of repeat. Maybe you will say it. It's still relevant for you to understand it. So first of all, understand it's a general purpose language, just like C, C++, C#, Go, and other languages, but it is beyond that. It kind of does everything better than others. The reason is kind of really platform independent, right? So you can create a desktop app, meaning in your computer, the app in there. You can use Windows-based app. You can use text-based app. You can have complete web application using Java EE Enterprise Edition. Now we call it Jakarta EE. For mobile telephony, for mobile development, cloud computing I talked about before, meaning think about AWS, think about Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, Azure, all those things have always Java component in there, always have a Java API available to it, okay? And then embedded system, think about the credit cards, things like that, think about your refrigerator, think about Internet of Things, which are constantly connected, and all those kind of things. Okay, so and think about this wearable. I have it. It has Java inside in here, and there are billions and billions of it. Okay, and as I already told you, it's easy to learn. Again, easy is as much as a relative, but it's easier than many other languages. And most important for you to know it is, the why is most important is, of course, we want to have a gainful employment. So that means you got to know that are the companies using it? Yes, it is very much. Again, I'll talk about that a little bit later also. And as I said, Java is free. So they are coming with two versions Oracle is doing. There is Oracle JDK and Oracle Open JDK, they call it now. But Oracle JDK really is free during the development. But if you want to make money, then there is something you have to pay. But if you use Open JDK, it's always free. Okay. I'm not paying attention to your chat right now, but I will come back a little bit later. Okay. So in top 10 reasons, one more thing I want to add, some more things I want to add is called COBOL of 21st century. I don't know if you know about COBOL programming or not. COBOL is old, think about 1959, but it's still used in banking system. It's so relevant. There is an object COBOL and all that. So Java has become like that, okay? So it is still used. And Java's, does not run in your operating system by itself. There is something called Java Virtual Machine. It's called JVM. So what it is it's like an operating system. Inside the operating system is a program when you want to run. And that's the reason why it is a platform independent, is every operating system has a unique JVM in there, okay? So when you want to run your Java program, you have to first run the JVM and then run your Java program. That makes it platform independent, okay? And this JVM is now reused by other languages, very famous, you may not know, but there are languages called Kotlin, Scala, Groovy. These languages supplement or complement Java. There are certain things are done better in Kotlin or Scala or Groovy, but they have similar syntax and they run within JVM. If you have something specific to do, that's what you are going to use. Java is very fast. Contrary, you might have heard somewhere, still in the websites and all that. Oh, Java is a interpreted language and all that is slower than C or C++. Yes and no, in the sense that because there is one extra layer of interpretation during runtime for Java, it is seemingly slower. But what happens is there is something called just-in-time compiling is available in this one. So what happens as soon as you load your program in the back, it gets compiled and all that. And then nowadays, even very high performing jobs are done in Java, okay? And Java evolves fast. I talked about it, though in the beginning between JDK 6 and 9, it took 11 years to have a new, as JDK, but nowadays every 6 months you are getting a new, updated version of JDK. Another good reason is has a rich standard API. What is the API really means is nothing but classes, objects are already written, and you use a interface to connect with this. Think about this one is already developed. Now, some machine can come and open this thing because it knows that I have to open in here. So it can latch into here and open this one and then dispense this water in my mouth. That can happen. So that is called API, application programming interface, so that you can latch into another system and use that system through a public interface. When we say public interface means it already says, hey, I have these tentacles open. You can just latch onto me and ask my services. I'll give you information. How I do my job, you don't need to know, but all you need to know is ask me and I'll go provide it. That's what the API really means. And you don't need to know if you don't know anything about these things. There is something called Swing AWT for the desktop development. Multi-threading really means how I could do development in a distributed environment, highly scalable program, parallel programming kind of thing. Networking means like a chat. Right now, how our Zoom is working is really networking. There is a component in there, writing networking program. You have heard about TCP/IP, a chat session, all those kind of things. It's very easy in Java using Java. Input output is again reading from the disk file. JDBC is about the API for the database interface. Like you might have heard is Oracle or Microsoft are a repository of the database. They keep their database in their proprietary language. But if your Java program wants to connect with them, you have to use the API call, okay? Okay. My 10th and the best reason for learning Java and having relevance is a lot of fun. You'll have a lot of fun learning Java, okay? So again, the most important part for you is to say, okay, this looks good and all that. Tell me more about the job outlook, how the job scenario looking at for you, okay? So let me share some of the information. We measure American, companies with something called Fortune 500. So big companies, top 500 companies. Think about out of them, 90% of them use Java. Really, in totality, it's like a 96% of it, but this is just about the 500 companies. And this is available in Oracle blogs and Synergetic IT from where I got this. Think about LinkedIn, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, heavily rely on Java. Okay, one way or other, most of the company rely on. Okay, startup companies use it because it's open source, it's a free, people don't have money, they want to do this, also they rely on, because they can not only start now, but they can even go further and then completely be Java based platform. Okay, so always, they don't have to switch it like that. So a startup company for that is like a no-brainer. Okay, on the right hand side, you will see the what kind of business are using Java. um, Companies we serving are the wearables I talked about, the appliances, your right now the chips are not available for the car uses Java, your refrigerator uses Java. I talked about the distributed computing, meaning multiple computers working together for solving one problem. High performance computing means, think about how Java will give you 5 million hits for your question in 4.9 seconds. How does that work out? So it is the distributed high performance computing happening in there. For that, Java is the choice for most of the work. Okay. And if you look at the glassdoor.com, if you are looking for jobs and all that, you want to go to glassdoor.com to find out, hey, how much salary I can expect, how many jobs are available and all that. So here it is, this 2021 available right now to see, job satisfaction wise, Java developer is not necessarily they will give you the highest pay, but it has the highest job satisfaction. So that's a good thing to know. Okay. And again, don't get stuck with this median base price and all that. It all depends on where you are, what kind of job you are doing and all that. And look at this Indeed.com. Another one is the average base salary of a Java developer. Okay. Again, depending upon where you are. If you are a junior developer coming in, you'll expect something. If you are an entry-level Java developer, you expect something. If you are a senior developer, you are expecting something. And then there is a management level. You can be a manager, director, and all those kind of things also in the ladder. But for now, just stay with where you are. How do I get my foot into the door? That's what your focus should be. Okay. So now I say that, okay, maybe I convince you, maybe I did not convince you, is Java is the way to go. So if you think you are ready, where do you start? So let's give you this. Well, if you are very, very driven and you want to learn your own, Google is your friend. You can say, hey, Java learning, how do I go? Here is this, here is that. Let me make all my agenda and all that, and I can go learn myself. But most of the time it doesn't work out for people. We get procrastinated and all those kind of things. Then there is more directed one. You can go to the online classes, use Coursera, you use Udemy. There are a lot of things available to you. So if you are driven, you can go there. Nobody's going to grade your work and all that, but you can still do it. Then there comes the certifications. Certification is like, you can go to Oracle Java certification. They will guide you what other things you need to do, or come to the university extensions where there is guided classes, very pointed, because it has been researched well to say what are the classes you may need to take it to be expert in some language or some platform, things like that. So you can go to those university extensions to do that. It's still relatively very, very cheap to do these certifications and all that. A good thing is for the certification is what happens is it's guided. Not only is guided, but there is a live teacher teaching you, and they're grading your work. That's the most important for the many people, because you want to see that whether you are learning good or not learning good, right? Somebody gives you a feedback, gives you a solution, and guides you in the proper way. Most of the time it works out fine, and cost-wise is also very, very affordable compared with the traditional universities. Again, if you are very driven, you need to, you are saying, okay, fine, I'm going to spend next 4 years, or maybe I have already done undergrad, I want to go to the graduate level, and I'll spend two years. Yes, traditional universities, you can go and do what you want to do it. Okay. But again, extension classes becomes a resource for you. I'm just showing you one example in here, but there are other choices for you guys also. In here, we have certification, in a different flavor of different certification where Java related classes are available to you. And interestingly, These classes are also overlapping in different certification. For example, in web development, also you can qualify this Java programming beginners. Comprehensive also qualifies in one of the, or if you are going for the data science certification, you can qualify these classes. So these are the important classes where Java is. You start baby steps. Suppose you are just new, you can start with Java programming for beginners. They are offered online version asynchronous or in class version. Now we have a flex version, we call it. Flex version means you can come to the classroom or you can join at same time from all over the world, from anywhere else. So we call it a flex version of it. That's coming up, I think, in July 20th. So that is also available if you are a new person. But if you know a little bit of Java, you have done, you have, looked at here and there, and you're pretty convinced about at least the beginning part of it, then you can right away jump into the Java comprehensive, or you can come from the Java beginners class. Java comprehensive is really comprehensive. It starts very fast. It will introduce a little bit in the beginning, but ramps up later on and gives you a lot of information. You'll learn about how do I use the object-oriented programming. It even goes and teaches you something called Java patterns to learn about it, kind of advanced thing. And then you will see how do I interface the database with it, XML data, or just the data in my text data, or random access with binary data, or a database, a SQL database, and networking. And then Lambda expression, which is like functional programming. It takes a lot of details in there in that 10 weeks class. Then there is a data structures and algorithm. Data structure means really advanced level. You take that one after Java comprehensive class to learn how do I store data and how I efficiently bring the data in my program, those kind of things. And then there is a Java microservices program. Microservices are really nowadays in cloud computing environment, what happens is you do not take like 2, 3, 4 years to develop a big program. You develop in a chunk, small program, and you submit it. So these are called microservices. For example, one microservice will say that, okay, I'm only taking credit card information, and another microservice may authenticate the user login system, like that. So you develop program in those kind of microservices and put them together. This way, the cloud computing becomes very scalable, manageable, distributed kind of idea, right? That's what is becoming more and more popular going forward. And of course, you can take introduction to the web programming using JavaScript, Python, and also JavaScript. Java is not JavaScript, but syntax is similar. That's what I put it in there as a certification. Then very advanced topic is Java threads. This one is 10 weeks of very extensive Java thread programming, meaning like a multi-processing. How can I scale my program? I have this much of work to do, but I want to do faster. Can I run this code parallelly? So there's a very challenging task in there. So that's what we cover in there. Okay. So if you need more information, visit our sites, and some of the information will be coming in the chat session about where do you go if you want to know more details about what are the classes we offer, what are the policy, anything more important things you want to know, upcoming events and all that is going to show up in here.
Thanks so much, Bineet. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And again, if you have any questions, just let us know. We're more than happy to help. Bineet actually has the intro class starting monthly. So the next session is July 20th, but if that timing doesn't work, we have another session in August, September, and November. And just feel free to reach out to us, and we can help get you figured out on your track. And I know everyone's at a different level. So, if you're more advanced, let us know your background, and happy to help you do a career pivot into Java. Thanks again, Bineet, and thank you everyone for your time. Hope you have a great rest of the week.
Thank you. I'm signing off now.